Hi, welcome to the Ring and All Other Sports. We're doing a very special 3 o'clock Tuesday afternoon special with my special guest, Brian Fury. Brian, thank you, man.
Leo, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Brian owns Chaotic Wrestling, the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. You were one of the guys I wanted on for a long time, and I'm going to say it. It took Sonny to get him to come on the show. But that's all right.
Yeah, Sonny's a good guy. Sonny's a good guy.
You're better than me. No. Brian, where'd you grow up?
I was born in Lynn, Massachusetts, raised in Lawrence, Massachusetts, until I got to high school. And then 8th grade, my family moved me to Rochester, New Hampshire. And I lived in that seacoast area of New Hampshire from 8th grade until pretty much forever. I live in Salem, New Hampshire now, but yeah.
Okay. My best friend just bought a house in Salem. Brian, when did you first discover pro wrestling or first see it?
I mean, the early stuff I remember was stuff leading into WrestleMania 3. I remember a lot of the build to that. I remember Honky Tonk Man being on television. I remember the stuff with Danny Davis and the Hart Foundation and the British Bulldogs. Those are some of my earliest memories. And then WrestleMania 3 was really the first WrestleMania that I remember watching live as it happened and stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Were your friends and family into it, or did you just find it on your own?
No, some family members were. Yeah. Some family members weren't. And then from there on out, I based a lot of my friends on who liked wrestling.
Right. Me too.
That was like our common interest. So from there on out, all through high school and everything, like I was friends with people that liked wrestling and whatever else. Yeah.
Okay. When did you go to your first show?
Boy, I went to a show. My dad brought me once to the Boston Garden. I don't remember a ton of it. I remember Hulk Hogan wrestled Killer Khan.
Wow. I
remember Hulk Hogan wore like a baseball glove when he caught the mist and rubbed it in Killer Khan's face and stuff to go to the finish. And I don't remember much else that was on there, but yeah, that was like the big main event type match.
Definitely remember a guy like Killer Khan too. You don't see a guy like that walking around.
Right, but it's funny. I mean, he was like this big dastardly heel, but I look back at footage now and I'm like, how would that guy get a program with Hogan? He didn't fit the mold of everybody else that wrestled Hogan at the time.
Very true. All right, so now what about indie shows? Did you go to any indie shows?
I went to one that was behind my house in Lawrence, Mass. at the Keene High School Gymnasium. I don't remember much about it other than Larry Zbyszko was there.
Oh, wow.
I remember him signing autograph for some kids, and they had this booklet, and then he like tore up the booklet and threw it at him, to get his heat and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if there are any other names or anything on the show other than him, but that was like when I was a kid. Yeah, that was the first like indie show that I'd ever seen.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. All right. So when did you decide you wanted to be a pro wrestler?
Always.
Yeah. Right away.
It was. I never wavered. I never wanted anything else. Pro wrestler was literally the only thing that I ever wanted to do. So I never, it was never like, oh, fireman, doctor. Nope. It was always just pro wrestler. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. All right. So I know, and a lot of these guys that are watching this, you've been around here for so long, they know. But who trained you?
I was initially trained Ringside Wrestling / AWA All Star Wrestling by like Jeff Costa, Rip, Mike Valancourt, Maverick Wild. Those are the three like head guys that were there at the time. None of them were actually doing a ton of the training at the time, though. Kind of in and out a little bit. It was more everybody else on the roster kind of helped with my training more than anything else.
Right. Okay. Who else was in the class around that time?
Boy, when I was there, Tarzan was there some. Tarzan Taylor. He was kind of in and out. I think he was kind of on the outs with the promotion at the time. His brother, Marcus, was there. Iron Man Tim Walker, Big Daddy Dave Walker was there. Amato Morbius, I know he's been on the show. I remember my first lockups were with like the Convict. I don't even remember his name. Yes,
I don't know his name, but I remember him.
Slash was there. Paul had started not too long before me.
Okay, is that Flash Fahrenheit?
Flash Fahrenheit. Yep. He went through a couple different names, but Flash Fahrenheit is what people probably remember him most.
Right.
He had started not too long before me, so that was kind of like the big group of people that was there. And obviously Justin Powers, Justin Shape, he was.
Egghead?
Egghead started a while after me.
Okay.
Yeah, I had been around for a while after Egghead started, but Justin was really the guy that He had started a little bit before me,
Okay.
and I've known Justin since high school. We went to high school
Oh,
together.
okay.
And he had been training there. I was supposed to go with him to a tryout at some point, and then I ended up going and helping out the high school wrestling team because they were hosting like the New Hampshire state meet and stuff.
Okay.
And so rather than go with Justin, I went there, and Justin started training a little bit before me, and he brought me down, and I remember doing the tryout and stuff, and everything from there. Yeah, I ended up even having my first match ever against Justin. So yeah.
Nice. Awesome. That's great because you just killed the question. That's great. No, that's perfect. Honestly, I remember he was so funny in the ring, and I definitely got to contact him because I'd love to get him on.
No, Justin's awesome. I
Yeah.
love Justin. He's doing great. He does like commentary for a lot of college sports and high
That's
school
what
sports.
Sonny was telling
Yeah,
me,
throughout
yeah.
New Hampshire now. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I first saw you at an AWA show, like you
Yeah.
said, Ringside Wrestling. That was run by Jeff. And what was it like working for like one of the last of the Connie guys, though? I mean,
Well, it's funny because I mean, when I first started, I didn't know any better. I didn't know any
Right.
different.
Right.
I don't want to say any better. I didn't know
Yep.
any different.
right.
That type of environment was what I thought all independent wrestling kind of was, and it was very hokey,
Yeah.
very cartoonish,
Yep.
very different. And I was like a very small guy for that promotion.
Right.
Obviously, guys like Jeff and Rip and
Right.
Wolfman and Convict and Slash and those guys. They were all bigger guys.
Yeah.
And then I was back then like 175 pounds, soaking wet, with
I remember.
with rocks in my pockets. So it was awesome. It was what I always wanted to do. I was
Right.
wrestling, once a month at Hudson or
Yep.
a couple other places. They would run shows randomly, and it was really cool. Like it was a lot of fun. Getting to get to hear some feedback from different people. Jeff would always do the line, well, I didn't see it, but I listened to it.
Yeah. All right.
And give him my feedback just based on that type of thing.
Yep.
So, it was really cool.
Nice. Now, a lot of these questions at the beginning are from Sonny Goodspeed.
That's fine.
I know it's fine with you.
I love Sonny.
I do too. Do you feel you went to finishing school with Steve Bradley after being taught the basics?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve's school was like high school, college, and
Yep.
everything all rolled into one.
Right.
That's really where I learned how to work. That's really where I learned how to put together the psychology of a match.
Right.
Yeah, with Jeff and all those guys, like I learned the basics, and I
Yep.
thought I knew
Right.
what to do.
Yeah.
And then it's like a whole nother world gets opened up when Steve starts breaking things down or teaching you how things go and whatnot. And so it was really like such an eye-opener.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sure. Now, how did you end up getting hooked up with Steve? Because they didn't ask that.
Okay, yeah, no,
I need to
so
know.
when Steve had come back, I know he had opened a school and stuff,
Okay.
and I had met him briefly, his first appearance back at NECW, when he was dressed up like Santa
I was there
Claus.
that night,
yeah.
yep.
And so Alex Arion, who was a good friend of mine at the
Right.
time, and he'd been wrestling everywhere, contacted me and said they were kind of starting a thing, and they were looking for some younger mid-card babyface type guys, whatever, and would I like to go? And I was like, yeah, we'll come down to the school and we'll talk. And so I did, and that caused a big rift with Jeff's and Steve's and everything else. So yeah, I made the decision, like, I'm going to move on and start training here to better my career and
Yep.
learn more and stuff. I felt like I'd kind of done everything I could with Jeff, and so that's how it kind of all came about. And then I ended up just staying there with Steve's for as long as he was
Nice.
open. Yeah.
Now, is that way? Now, how was your time as Brian Jury?
So
'Cause that's when I first met you.
okay,
when you were Brian Jury.
the whole Brian Jury thing. I had been wrestling as Brian Fury.
Yes.
I was Brian Fury. Justin kind of gave me the name Fury, just, okay.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, fine, that's fine, whatever. And then I had started to wrestle a couple other places, NECW, MWF, and stuff.
Right.
And without even asking me, they changed my last name to Jury because they already had Turbo Tim Fury.
Oh, yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
So rather than asking or having two Furies in the show, they just called me Brian Jury.
Right.
And then so a couple places that I'd started wrestling for after that NECW, they only knew me as Brian Jury, so they just kept calling me Brian Jury.
Right.
And I was finally, when Turbo Tim Fury left, I was like, look, I want to be Brian Fury everywhere. That's my name. And so then I ended up kind of just switching back over and kind of resetting almost.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I think I'm wrong then. I think I've seen you before when you were Brian Fury, and for some reason it just because it's so similar in
Well,
me,
yeah.
and I just assumed that it was
Very
you,
much
but
so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure of that. If you were given the opportunity to have kept the WFA going, do you think you would have been ready then?
No, not at all. I wasn't in any type of frame of mind for something like that. I still had, not that I don't have hopes and aspirations for myself now, but as far as my wrestling career was concerned, I had a lot of things that I wanted to do and pursue myself. I didn't want to kind of settle down, stop, or not really wrestle much at all, just to worry about a promotion. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is coming from me now. Did you ever think before you decided to buy into like Chaotic starting up a WFA again? Did that thought enter your mind?
I knew that I wanted to run a promotion.
Right.
I knew that I wanted to have something up and going and do something on my own at some point in time. You know, once I stopped wrestling, you know, my goals were like grow the school a little bit more and to eventually run a promotion. And when the stuff with Chaotic came about, like I was like, well, that's perfect. It's different, and I'm not going to have to. It's established. I'm not going to have to start something from the bottom up, and we kind of went that route.
Right, and that was great because like when they said they were selling the business, you know, and I like I'm not in the wrestling, but some around it though, I was like, I for some reason I thought the Logans of Chase, when obviously you were the obvious choice. You have the school, you know what I mean?
I wouldn't necessarily say I'm the obvious choice. I'm not like the, what do you say, the picture perfect business type of guy.
Okay.
You know, obviously I have a partner, a silent partner. You know, he's going to remain silent for the time being, and he's great. He's really a lot of the backbone. And he's a numbers guy, and he's you know keeps things very organized. You know, we complement each other well. Right. And so because of that, we've been able to succeed so far as everything we've been trying and wanting to do.
Okay. You know, is there anything that you would have done differently back in the day with the FWA when it was, you know, up and running? Was there anything that you would have done differently?
Again, I was so early in my career, and that first WFA show up in Littleton, New Hampshire was like a whole nother world compared to what I've been used to with Jeffs, and even some of the stuff with Sheldon and everywhere else. It was just, it was crazy. Yeah. If I would change anything, maybe some less gimmick matches. Yeah. Because I understood why. Yeah. He'd hot shot a lot of things and have a couple gimmick matches and stuff. But I think after these towns were established, he didn't have to continuously do it and beat it to the ground. Yeah. For a little while, it was tried. It was less things, and like when myself or Eddie Edwards were the champions, there were less, and it was more focused on some of the wrestling in that top level. But it didn't last too long. It kind of went back to all right, table matches and steel cages and everything else. Okay. I would kind of tone that back some, especially with multiple ones on each show. I don't think it was necessary.
And Steve didn't have any roller derby matches or anything like that.
He didn't have anything along those lines, no.
Oh, that was killed me. No. Listen, I want to talk a little bit. Seeing one of your old tag team partners just came back to wrestle. Yes. Chris Venom. Yes. Can you tell us about teaming with Chris in Adrenaline? And like I said, he just returned. How much time did he take off? Do you know?
I'm not sure. Quite a bit. A real good amount of time. Yeah. So for him and I, when we first started teaming up, we actually wrestled each other once. Okay. In Boston, I think on the Commons or something along those lines, at a random show that Bob Evans had kind of put together. Okay. He was one of Bob Evans' students. And we kind of bonded. You know, we became pals. And at the time, in places like NECW and other places, there was like an established top guys. There was like Maverick, Bob, Alex, Slick. Those were like the top guys, and nobody else was kind of really going to be there. Right. And so we knew that we weren't going to get ourselves there. Yeah. So we decided to team up, be a team, and get ourselves in a featured role in a different way. And so we decided to team up, and he started getting us some bookings down in the Fall River area with like Top Rope and stuff like that, and other places in that area. There's so many down there that I can't remember them all. And obviously the stuff with Sheldon and everywhere else. And I think it worked for us what we wanted to do. We even teamed together on the very first WFA show. Oh, wow. We were the very first match in WFA, the two of us, and it was awesome. It really helped us blossom as performers. Really helped us, get our names out there a little bit more. And we ended up even main eventing some of the NECW shows as a tag team. Oh, nice. Which was cool, against Sabotage a couple times, which was really awesome. And then time came, we both went our own ways, and I think we both had pretty good careers in a lot of different places. Oh, absolutely. And Mike Jazz just said to me, "You guys were money." That's what Mike says. Thanks, Mike. Now, same question about your team Dynasty with the late
DC Dillinger.
Yeah, so obviously we had feuded with them forever, and then, you know, years had gone by or whatever, and then I was used up in NWA on Fire up in Maine. I'd gotten booked up there, and we kind of got put together. It was originally me, Dave, and Gorman, Sean Gorman. And we had known each other forever, and, you know, usually on the opposite sides of the ring, but now that we were together, it worked really well. It was cool. We were a very different dynamic. And then Gorman didn't stay up there too long, but Dave and I stayed together. And then when ECW kind of came back again, we were together there for a while, a couple shows, and we wanted to be different. We didn't want to be a retread of like Sabotage or Adrenaline or anything along those lines. We wanted to be different, and so the stuff that we did was on those couple shows were, I guess, kind of controversial. I remember the one show with him and Sheldon kind of going at it like out there. And that didn't stick around too long, and then he kind of ended up leaving NWA on Fire, so it kind of just fizzled out rather than go out with a bang or anything. But I had a really ton of fun teaming with Dave. He was awesome.
Nice,
I mean, Dave was, if you knew Dave, he was loud and unlike a lot of other people. So yeah, he was awesome.
And probably the best heel New England's ever seen.
He was,
honestly.
yeah, you know, he was
one of the best.
Right.
No
No,
doubt.
he prided himself on getting actual heat and getting people to really dislike him, and I think, you know, he was a master at it.
Yes, he was. And I'm going to be coming up on some favorite stuff of yours, but I do know Sheldon Goldberg said his favorite match of all time at New England Championship Wrestling was the cage match you had with DC. That's his favorite match, he said.
That's very sweet of him. I loved that match. I loved the build to that match.
Right.
You know, we started in like November or December and built it all the way up until August. Right. So many different things and so many different pieces, and I ended up even just volunteering to take like 2 or 3 shows off for him to, you know, go over an injury ankle and stuff, and the comeback and everything else. Like, that was a really, really fun time. Nice. Independent wrestling, a really fun time for an ECW. It's a very big part of Sean Gorman's book, that that angle and that period of time. Like, it was awesome, and it was like a time that we were able to spread our wings and kind of build something on our own. Me, Dave, George Carroll helped out a lot because he was kind of booking at the time. We really kind of put things together how we wanted to versus letting just the bookers dictate everything. We kind of were able to put in our own pieces, and I think it built fantastically in that match. I think was a really, really awesome, and it really capped off the whole feud with everything. I really loved it all, yeah.
Excellent. Before I move on to that next part I was just telling you about, I have to ask, were you at the show in Tingsboro when those guys were working? I think it might have been Sheldon's show, and then Jeff showed up.
No.
They talked about it on Bill.
Oh, yes. Were you there? I was at that show.
I wasn't there, and I kind of wish I was.
I was at that show. I remember Jeff being there. I remember them arguing out in okay, so that was because
Dave wanted to fight.
Jeff hadn't run in forever, and Jeff showed up thinking like, oh, this is like, you know, my territory, whatever. Like,
There's no such thing.
Yeah. I do remember that, because he showed up during our match.
So you were in the ring when...
Yeah, and so when we went to the back and stuff, like, I just kind of separated. I usually sit by myself a lot of times anyways, like, and they got into it. I remember hearing all about that.
Yeah, me too. And I like Jeff, so I you know what I mean? That's why I don't go into the whole story. Like, I brought it up here a couple times. You know, and
I love Jeff. Jeff's crazy, but I love Jeff.
Yep, I hear you. Me too. All right, so do you have a favorite match of yours?
Oh boy, it's.
If only one. This is from Joe Bruin, by the way.
It's so hard for me to narrow it down. There's so many different things that kind of pop out in memory and different things. Yeah. I couldn't really pinpoint it to one. I remember. One of my earliest memories of really liking something and getting a special feeling was the first Iron Man match I did with Eddie Edwards for WFA in Lawrence, Mass. And I remember loving it. I thought it was really good. Right. And when we went to the back, Steve had the whole locker room there, give us like a standing ovation when we got to the back. So that was like a special thing. And one of the first early things I remember of like putting together obviously a 30-minute match, and we went to overtime, so it was like 40 minutes or something like that, and really having like a main event type of feel. Right. So that's like an early memory that was like really stands out as something really cool to me. There's a bunch of other ones throughout the years. I couldn't really pick like
I hear you. All right.
a
Well,
single one.
how about a favorite opponent or a couple of favorite opponents?
Eddie Edwards was one.
Yeah.
Alex Arion is
Yeah.
another. Makazi, him and I have had amazing chemistry, a lot of things together. Julian Starr was
Yeah.
another one. I mean, those are the ones that really come to the
Okay.
the top of the list right away. Hanson
Yeah.
was another one. Handsome Johnny, whatever hell he, Duke of Elegance,
Yeah.
whatever one of
Right.
his ridiculous
Now
names
known as
he
Warbeard.
was. Yeah, him and I had very good chemistry and a lot of good matches and stuff too.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, there's those are the ones that really stand out. Like
Okay.
as favorite opponents, I've wrestled a lot.
All right. Now, what do you watch now for wrestling?
Too much?
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as too? I mean, when I was a kid, I would have never thought there was too much.
Right,
But
right.
now that I'm,
Yeah. Now that you live
I'm
it,
around
eat it, sleep it.
Yeah, I watch Raw every week.
Yeah.
I try to catch SmackDown. Go through that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily watch NXT every week.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the people there now, so I'll try to watch some matches of people that I know.
Yep.
Maybe I'll pop 205 Live on or watch something older, some independent stuff.
Yeah.
I'm at the school 3 days a week, so I see wrestling there. The
Oh,
Chaotic
man.
shows, I watch those. I rewatch the Chaotic show back again,
Right.
so a lot.
Yeah. So
know.
you just watch wrestling all day. You
cons-
watch a little bit of everything.
I consume wrestling on a regular basis.
All right. I think this one is from Mike Jazz. When is Andre Lyons coming back? Is he? I'll be honest, right? I didn't ask him to say that. I was a huge fan of Andre. Seriously, I loved him and Minnie.
Andre was great. Yeah, he was a good dude. I think he just had too many knee injuries,
Yeah.
and that's what kind of ended up,
Right.
curtailing his career. I think it went out even when he did the Super 8 stuff too. I think his knee was really just kind of bad.
Yeah.
By that period of time, I don't think he wanted to get full surgery to get taken care of, and
Kid was good.
Yeah.
All right. Now, can I ask, you were at so how bad was the WFA Chaotic thing when those two guys left Chaotic and went to the WFA? Because the things I don't know because I only hear what they say on the podcasts.
Right. No, I mean,
So,
when I was in it,
Yeah.
again, I was just in WFA, and I guess I was still new in the career, and I had done Sheldon shows and whatever else,
Right.
and I knew that Steve said Chaotic was the only place, not allowed to wrestle.
Right.
You can wrestle pretty much anywhere else as long as it doesn't interfere with his bookings, except for Chaotic. It
Yeah.
was the only place. Then I remember, obviously, the things like Billy Kryptonite coming up to Steve's and training there, and then he did this, the squash match
Yeah.
against, Landry D.
Yeah.
Putting it on the front page of his website. Local champion gets destroyed. I remember when Andre and Minnie came up, and they filmed the video in front of. So the history of that video, everybody is like, oh, they really wanted to stick it to Chaotic. Steve really just wanted to show off that brand new trailer that he just bought that had the WFA on the side.
Right.
He wanted that almost more than the
anything
stick it to
else.
Chaotic thing.
right.
Vicalo came up.
Yeah.
Vince Vicalo came up and joined WFA. I mean, it was just Steve had kind of a vendetta against them, and I can see why at the time. But at the same time, looking back on it, I don't know if it really benefited anybody or hurt anybody because we were both doing well at the time. It was just two very different products.
Yeah.
Theirs was very sanitized and family friendly, and
Right.
Steve's was anything but.
Right.
Blood every show,
Yeah,
swearing, cursing,
yeah.
middle fingers, all that stuff. So I mean, yeah, it was a night and day type of feel for the promotions, and I think for the guys that had the opportunity to wrestle at both.
Right. Nice. Thank you. Do you can you think of a couple of guys that you have worked with or trained who you were surprised didn't go further in the business than they have?
I've said for years that Julian Starr was
He was good.
probably the best that I'd ever trained. He was so good,
Right.
And especially in the way wrestling is now, he would have a job in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Obviously,
He could still work now. I saw him at the countdown. Man.
Yeah, no, he's that class.
Yeah.
He helps out at least once a week. Neck injury really, put a hamper on his career, and when he came back, it just wasn't really the same for him. And I think if he was still around now with motivation, he would be able to. He'd have a job somewhere. He's still. He just turned 30. He's still young.
He just had a birthday.
He could have done a lot.
Right.
As far as I think Sherman had potential. I think he just didn't want to go that extra step to make
Right.
it further. I think those are two of the bigger ones. I mean, I'm really, I don't want to say surprised, but I'm #blessed
Right.
that as many students that I've been able to teach have gone on to do as many things
Yeah.
as they have.
Right. I was just curious, like with Sherman, he was. I liked him because he was so goofy. That goofy
Right.
part of his character
Yeah.
that really like drew me to him, especially when he teamed with Scotty. That was like such a cool thing. So I was just curious, if you were going to bring up Sherman.
The problem with Sherman is that goofiness just continued
That-
every single time you talk to him, no matter what.
Right.
That gets to be taxing after a while.
Right. But I'll tell you what, me and my buddies that come up to the Chaotic shows all the time, we were dying for him to come back someday. So we really would love to see you. So Sherman, if you're watching, come back to wrestling, will you? Do you have a favorite Steve Bradley story?
I mean, my favorite moments with Steve, I guess, would be when him and I would go do like postering runs to like Littleton or whatever, and be in the car with him for 6 hours that day. Just listening, talking, hearing the stories of different
Right.
things that he got to do. Him kind of breaking things down and everything. Like those is when I really got to know and like Steve,
Right.
and really become friends with him. So as far as just stories in general, I mean, he was wild at times. He was crazy at times. I remember him almost getting into a fight at Denny's up in Newport, Vermont one time because some kids were making fun of pro wrestling because they saw the trailer. We were parked out in the parking lot after a show, and
Right.
him yelling, curse words at somebody in the middle of Denny's,
Right.
how he beat him up or whatever else, and this and that stuff. So, I mean, those are fun. But Steve, the man that I became friends with, those types of things, or like staying in his office until
Right.
12 or 1 at night after, class and kind of just learning about him and the things he's gone through and different
Right.
stuff. Like those are the times where I really got to know and like Steve. And I know I'm fairly closed off, but, the students that I really see things in or like or I want to progress, I try to open myself up in a similar fashion way
Right.
that he kind of did to me. So
Yeah.
it's cool to be able to look back at that and then try to pay that type of thing forward.
Nice. Because Sonny had said that Steve, I guess when he was 15, was running shows. And he
Yeah.
was drawing more people than established promoters.
The Kids Wrestling Federation.
Yeah, that's it, yep.
He built his own ring with his dad, and he would put on shows at the middle school or whatever
Right.
else. Yeah, like it was.
That's awesome.
Every story I've heard was pretty crazy. He was drawing like 300-400 people to shows and
That
stuff.
is
like,
nuts
yeah.
for kids, I kind of jumped ahead of this, but was Maverick Wild your inspiration for your early ring attire color schemes? And you could guess that's Sonny's question.
Maverick Wild was the one that actually sold me those trunks. They
Really?
were old trunks and old knee pad
Bengal
covers.
ones?
Yep.
The ones that I have that great picture
Yeah.
of me and you in.
No, that was, where the early gear came from, was from Maverick. I actually purchased them off of him, and then,
Okay.
they had stuck around for a very long time before I switched to the all red ones, yeah.
Now, I'm a lot older than you, so what year was that about? Do you remember? Was that
Boy.
2002?
Well, I started in August, October of '99, so I'm
Okay,
coming up
so
on
it's probably
up on 20 years. So
Probably like 2000, then,
Yeah.
right? Because it was
Yeah.
probably early.
yeah, right now.
Okay.
Yeah, those first couple of years is when I had those. Yeah.
All right. What do you think is the biggest change in the business since you started?
The biggest
Yeah.
single. I mean, there's been so many changes
Okay.
in the
Well, maybe a
professional
couple.
wrestling world since I started. When I was active and at my peak, wrestling was in a very down period.
Right.
I was there right after WCW, ECW, everything had closed, and it was
Right.
just WWE. And it was a time when they were looking at just former sports stars or people that were 6'3", 230 minimum to
Yeah.
be able to get signed and stuff. And if you were an independent wrestler, like, they didn't want to look at you at all. And then right towards the tail end of my full-time in-ring career, it was like, you got to be an independent guy. It doesn't matter your size or weight or anything. Even age wasn't really necessarily like a factor, and they were
Right.
just signing people left and right. So as far as opportunity to move up in the professional wrestling world, obviously that has been a huge difference, a huge
Right.
change. Popularity of independent wrestling, the amount of shows that are around now and that are all drawing well and doing
Right.
well, like that's obviously a big difference. And I remember 100 people would be a big show
Right.
for a long time. You know, oh, 100 people out there, this is great. You know, now it's a little different as far as that goes.
Right.
Steve for New England kind of changed the game as far as production value.
Right.
He was the first guy to have a bigger entrance, a screen, all that stuff, you know, and everybody else kind of followed suit, you know, whether they want to admit it or not. He was the first guy that really did a lot of that stuff because he had, you know, he'd learned it all from Cornette and Dr. Tom and Ben and OVW, Ben here, Ben there, like, so he'd saw it and he's like, I want to do this too. So the production levels and stuff now are insane as far as companies and stuff go. So I mean, there's a lot of changes, all for the better, I think. You know, and it's obviously an upswing. Eventually, it'll go back down again. But I mean, you know, I think we still have a long ways to go up before we hit that still.
Okay. Now, do you think that the start when they started to look at indie guys, was that around the time Ring of Honor started with how they brought, like, you know, guys from all over the United States in? You know what I mean? Like,
well,
kind of like a super show in a way.
I think after that.
After that,
because I think the CM Punks and Daniel Bryans really changed the view of how WWE viewed those guys.
Right.
Those guys and a couple others were signed.
Yeah.
But until those guys really had the success that they did, I think it reminded them and they remembered of the success they had years prior. All those guys had gone through the territory system and they had been top guys other places, and they saw the value in that.
Right.
So now guys like Punk and Bryan and everybody else, they had been top guys at places like Ring of Honor, which is still, at the time, at least an independent, but it was a very high-level independent.
Yes.
And they got to travel around and, you know, experience it. And so they were more ready when they got put to WWE than a lot of other guys that they had signed. And so I think they kind of saw the value in that, and they're kind of really scooping up as many guys as they can and training them more in the WWE style down at the Performance Center, and then sending them out to NXT and then bring them up to the main roster. Like, the feeder system works so much better now than it has in the past. Right.
Nice. That's a great answer. Thank you. All right. So did you have a favorite venue to work? I was thinking you probably liked that Littleton Opera House. That place is beautiful.
Littleton Opera House is where I had my first match ever.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful venue.
Right.
Very historic.
Yep.
I remember going up there, right in the front lobby, there'd be a giant picture of Gorgeous George, who had wrestled there. And it's cool. You see everybody in the audience in, like, their suits and ties, and there's Gorgeous George in the ring taking his robe off and stuff. Like, it's awesome, you know. It's really cool, and it's cool to think that, you know, I had my first match ever there. Like, it was awesome. And it's gorgeous. Yeah, it's gorgeous. And then when they renovated it, I had it all set up years later when we went back for Chaotic and stuff, and it was so nice. Like, I love that place. Yeah.
Nice. Excellent. Any other venues that stick out in your head?
I mean, Lowell PAV was awesome. You know, for Chaotic, it was, you know, a very different type of venue and feel, but everybody right on top of you there. Like, it was awesome.
Right.
It was a cool place. You know, the PAL Hall in Fall River is you know, it's similar in feel to the Littleton Opera House, just a lot more. I guess if you combined the PAV and the Littleton Opera House, you would get that. The PAL,
All right. I'm going to actually head down to the first time on the 26th with Sonny. I've never been down to that building.
Yeah, that's nice.
I'm lazy. I don't like to take long rides, you know.
That's not a long ride.
To me, it is. All right. So this is from Mike Jazz. And you kind of touched on it earlier in a way, but ladder matches, cage matches, strap matches, table matches, baseball bat matches, fan bring the weapons matches, I quit matches, last man standing matches. Is there a favorite gimmick match from your WFA days?
Oh, boy.
Ty, just saying it. I'm sorry, real quick. Besides the bottom broken rope match. I almost forgot that, Mike.
Bottom broken rope. That was in Littleton, too, actually. I wrestled Mike Bennett, yes. I had 3 TLC matches with Eddie Edwards.
Okay.
And the second one in Dover, New Hampshire was probably the best out of all 3. I remember that one being really, really awesome. And I remember it was in Dover, and Steve was a special guest referee.
Oh, cool.
And Dover was kind of right near Rochester, where I lived at the time, and I had sold a lot of tickets, and I was like the hometown guy. And that one was very special. A lot of people thought I was finally going to win the heavyweight title for the first time. The feeling there was awesome, you know, and Alex ended up turning heel and turning on me and everything else. Like, that was cool. It had so many different, you know. The one I liked the least was the lumberjack strap match where all the lumberjacks would have little straps, and I was always like the little baby face and taking the heat. I get tossed to the outside, and they all just like whip the hell out of you. And none of them really realized how badly it hurt,
of course,
or like how devastating it was until there was like a bring your own weapon battle royal.
And you got to
I remember hitting Danny Jax in the back with one of the straps, and he goes, "Jesus Christ!" He goes, "If I knew how bad that hurt beforehand, I would have gone a lot easier on you." But
that thing is lying.
Yeah, but of course he is. But they're trying to make the noise up the back, and like, oh man, those were the worst. Those were miserable.
I used to say that when you'd see that in the like when I was little, watching it, Albano would take his belt off or something, and I just cringed because you could hear that. Because I think growing up in my era, all the kids got smacked with the belt when you So I know exactly how that.
If it was just a regular match where I had to take a couple of them and it was in the middle of the ring and it meant something, yeah. But it's just a lumberjack match and I'm getting tossed to the floor and taking 100 of them, and it's like. Yeah, just stomp and kick me, kick and stomp, whatever else you got to do, rather than those,
All right, so listen, last year you were inducted into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame.
I was. Yes.
And I honestly have to say that was the first time I ever went, and I'm such an idiot because Joe Bruin obviously puts on a great event.
Yeah.
So what was the experience like being inducted into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame? This is from our good friend Joe Bruin.
Oh, it was cool. I had only been to one prior.
Okay.
The one where I inducted Steve.
Yep.
It's a... You don't really know what to expect going down to that.
Right.
In your head, you're like, oh, this is kind of corny type of thing. But at the same time, like, it was actually done really well, run really nicely. Everybody that went, it was cool.
Right.
Whether there were some fans and some of my peers and other things there, and obviously he mixes in some of the bigger names and stuff too. And for them to kind of just listen and hear what you had to say and actually pay attention, it's really cool. It's really nice.
Right.
A lot. I guess you could say a lot nicer / more prestigious than I expected it to be going in, and I thought it was a really nice event. Very nicely run, but very well put together. I enjoyed it.
Nice, I did too. I thought it was really well, and I'm looking forward to this year. This year should be a good time. This is perfect too. We got about 20 minutes left, and I really wanted to concentrate on chaotic wrestling right now.
Okay.
All right, but before that, guest trainer at the Performance Center. Is that something that you would aspire to do, like on a regular basis?
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, it was an honor to be able to go down there a couple times and guest train for a week.
Right.
I helped out with a lot of the different students and stuff that were there and see kind of how they run things and do things. If an opportunity were to arise or open up, I would love to. I would jump at it. It's always been a dream of mine to work for WWE.
Right.
Obviously, initially it was as a wrestler, but now since I've been doing the training thing myself for the past 7 or 8 years, I would love to do that and kind of be a cog in the big machine and help things out. And especially since I know so many people that are down there now, I would love to be able to help the new people as they come in and train them and show them the way things are supposed to be done.
Nice, because I thought it was great when I saw Carino was down there too, hiring. I mean, that guy's knows a lot about wrestling, and as you do yourself. All right, so now a couple weeks ago it came out. I was watching. It was after your biggest show, Cold Fury. On social media, it said, "Welcome to the new era of chaotic wrestling."
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about what the elevated live events are about?
Okay, so the elevated live events are basically, they're going to be broken down and put into the elevated television shows.
Okay.
We didn't want the live event feel to change. We didn't want it to be like, whoa, this one's a television taping, and people think, all right, I'm going to be there for 4 hours and get 4 weeks worth of television. And these are, let's do another open to the show. Hey, all right, 10 minutes later, let's do another open to the show and record it. We didn't want the live event feel to change. We wanted that to remain the same. So the chaotic shows are going to be the same. They're going to be the same stories, the same way we've always done them. Yeah. But we will break them down and put a couple matches together on a half-hour, 45-minute elevated show once a week. Right. Those will be released starting next
April 18th, Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Yeah.
And so, we'll film some different wraparound things. There'll be different promos, added stuff.
Right.
So many companies nowadays are releasing full shows.
Yeah.
Top to bottom. And, you know, we do the same thing with Chaotic On Demand.
Right.
But we wanted something that was shorter, a little more easily digestible,
Right.
and another way to get our product and name out there. So we
Yep.
decided to put together the Elevated shows. That's just going to be the name of the show, Chaotic
Okay.
Wrestling Elevated. You know, like we grew up on WWE
That was the next
Superstars,
question,
right?
so,
Yeah, we grew up on like WWF Superstars
Right.
or Wrestling Challenge
Yes.
or
Or if you're old like
the
me,
60
All-Star Wrestling.
Yeah, 605 Saturday night, you know,
Yeah.
but whatever, blah, blah, blah. So Chaotic Wrestling Elevated, that's just the name of the show, that's the program. Once a week it'll be out there. Nothing as far as live events and stuff will change, but
Yeah.
if you're there, then you'll get to see it broken down, just a couple
Right.
matches per show with the commentary, with everything else, you know, and put
Excellent.
together. So yeah, we're very excited about that.
Excellent. Now, you just ran a show this past weekend down in Rahway, New Jersey, right? Rahway? And it was, you know, during WrestleMania week, whatever. So you had I noticed some outside talent. You brought in Jordan Grace, and you brought in Sent to Slaughter, Sean Donovan, and Danny Moff, who I'm
Yep.
a huge fan of. Should Chaotic fans be ready to see more new talent?
We've always we have our core roster,
Yes.
our base roster, and we are an organization really where we run storyline-based types of things.
Right.
We don't necessarily always bring in people here and there just for one-time shot deals or things like that. If we do, you know, we want to make sure that it's definitely worth the while for them as well as for our fans.
Right.
We are always looking to, I don't want to say like cycle, but for lack of a better term, cycle talents in and out
Right.
to be part of the Chaotic Wrestling storylines and stuff. Rarely will someone be there just for like a show.
Right.
So yeah, but right now I think our roster is
You have a great roster.
it's almost
You do.
bloated
Yeah.
right now, and that's why you don't always see people on every single show. You know,
Right.
guys like Scotty Slade or you know, even the Logan brothers and Chase and stuff taking
show or
two,
two,
3
yeah.
shows off in a
Yeah.
row and stuff to kind of let things go. You know, the Mainstay Posse just came back after being
Right.
gone for like 4 or 5 months. So.
Yep.
It's great to have a roster that's willing to work with us as far as that goes.
Right.
And I think they see the benefit of it as far as within our little, you know, corner of the wrestling world, the benefit of kind of not being always there every single time.
Right.
But yeah, it's a challenge to be able to fit everybody in all the time.
Right.
And then to be able to bring new people in all the time based on the amount of stuff that gets sent to us and talent that we see and like and want to kind of bring in and stuff. So. Yes and no is the answer to that question.
Okay.
People will be in, people will be out. It's hard.
Okay. I'm just going to say it right now. Book Danny Moff.
I love Moff. I've teamed with him a couple times in 6-man tags and stuff. He's awesome.
Yeah.
The problem with, not that I guess it's a problem, but Chaotic Wrestling, we try to keep our shows 2.5 hours, 7 matches.
Right.
We don't want to be one of these 3-4 hour
No, I
show
hear you.
companies that have like, you know, 10, 11, 12, 13 matches.
Right.
We like our shows to start at 8, end between 10:30, 10:45, done, clean, boom, go home. Like we like to keep it that way. We're family friendly. You know, it's not going to be a marathon type of show. It's not going to be 100 different things coming at you.
Right.
Boom, 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 done. You know, 4 up, 3 down is what I like to say. 4 up, intermission, 3 down.
All right. Now, we got 13 minutes left. I want to bring up a few guys that are on your roster right now. Just recently, your heavyweight championship has changed. After JT Dunn held it for how long? 14, 15 months? Was it longer than that?
Yeah, it was, I think it was about 14 months. Yeah, he'd won it at the Cold Fury prior.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Christian Casanova, top talent. Christian Casanova won the title. Where are we going with this? Like, I mean, you know, is JT done with Chaotic for now, or is he sticking around?
No, he's sticking around.
Okay.
We had, not to like break down the fourth wall or give things away.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. With injuries and stuff,
Yeah.
we kind of had to change a little bit of what we initially had put together and planned. When we book shows, we kind of like to go chunks at a time. So we'll go, all right, Cold Fury to the countdown, per se.
Right.
All right, this is kind of where we want to go, blah, 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 blah. Injuries and different things happen, so we got to kind of, all right, well, let's salvage or change or turn. We've had to do that so many times since we've taken over. It's insane, but we like to try to think we make the best out of everything. And so the changes are actually already going to be on this next show that we have coming up May 3rd. So different things happen, but I won't say what or where we're going, but I mean, for instance, with Christian,
Yeah.
you know, things kind of changed last summer, where him and Dunn were kind of only supposed to have one match, and they were supposed to move on to different things. And the way that their match was, and the reactions it was getting, we ended up stretching that out to have them have the 3 matches, and ended with, you know, with the tables, ladders, and chains match and stuff like. And that was all like kind of on the fly type of thing, like the way that they were working, the way the crowds were reacting. So like, yeah, we had something, we ran with it a little bit. So even though we might have something in our head of this is what we want to do, it's not necessarily in cement permanent. You know, I like to think we're listening, we're reacting to the way the fans are, and we're able to have some leeway and wiggle room to kind of change things around if need be, based on the way things are going with the people and stuff. So there's a lot of different things that could happen with that Chaotic Wrestling heavyweight title going forward.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, me and my buddies that go to the shows, we are huge Christian fans. And one night we went, we swore he was winning the belt that night. And when he didn't, we left. That was the night I left right away. Remember, you came out that night.
That was, yep, okay, that was
and you said to me, you said, never leave early. And you were right. But we were pissed. Because we were like, when is this going to happen? Because you could tell that Christian's got the talent, man. He's top talent.
He's ready.
You know? So, we were very mad that night at you.
Yes. Look, I love Christian. He's one of my students. You know, I remember him from day one. I think he's matured a lot, and he's really grown as a talent over time. And I think it's time. Yeah. It's time for him, not only in Chaotic, but elsewhere, too. It's time for him to really spread his wings and grow and take those next steps in his career and move on. And so I'm happy to be able to give him a small platform in Chaotic Wrestling to be able to help do that. Yeah. It's just up to him to kind of do it everywhere else.
Right. And I was lucky enough, Dick let me open up on a Sunday. I was lucky to have him and Tripalicious in here one Sunday. And it was an awesome episode. But, you know, when putting those 2 guys together was really genius, even though you guys probably didn't realize it was going to work out as good as it did.
Right. No, it was great for him to finally get away from the Michael Jackson type of gimmick, something I had been telling him for a long time. But and I understand why. He was comfortable. Yeah. A younger kid. This is what he kind of used to help get him out in front of the people initially. And I get it, but at the same time, like, you know, he's hard-headed. I was like, you gotta change. You gotta change. And putting him with Trips, and now with Anthony there, and Royce, you know, like it's a great little group that works well, and it's kind of helped all of them, I think. Yeah, definitely. To me, it's kind of like revived Tripalicious's career and stuff as well, too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because that's what I was saying to them. Like, it was just how Christian was the up-and-coming talent, and to be able to run like ideas and have someone that's a veteran like Tripalicious, who's been in the business, 18 years now? Something like that, time, you know? So that was really, really awesome, and it was a question that I had asked a lot of people if they knew, and no one ever knew, so I was finally able to get the answer of who put them together. It was awesome. You have one of the greatest announcers in New England history, Rich Palladino.
I love Rich.
What about Rich?
Tell us a little about Rich. Rich is great. Rich has been at Chaotic since all but one show or something like that. I mean, there's a couple other they had to miss or with storylines that he wasn't at. But, you know, Rich is, you know, he's for lack of a better term, like the MC of Chaotic Wrestling. You know, he's the welcoming voice. He's the Howard Finkel. You know, everybody that knows and loves Rich, and I think he creates a great atmosphere and sets things off on the right foot and the right tone for all the fans that come to see Chaotic Wrestling. And, you know, I wouldn't want anybody else, you know, announcing my shows. He's the most professional guy out there.
Oh, absolutely.
He's awesome.
Absolutely. And he does the things with Joe Brew, too, for the Hall of Fame, so that's excellent. So do you ever think Julian Starr's ever going to come back?
I don't think so.
No, he's going to stay in that commentary. He does a pretty good job doing that, too. He really does.
He does well with the commentary. Yeah. He still, you know, likes wrestling and likes being around. That's why he helps out at the school and stuff. I don't think he has that the motivation to, you know, get himself back in shape and train and really want to be away from home and stuff and do the traveling and everything. So I don't foresee it happening. No.
Okay. Let's talk a little about the New England Pro Wrestling Academy.
Okay.
Now, how can everybody get in touch and find more about the New England Pro Wrestling Academy?
neprowrestling.com. Okay. That's the website. There's also a Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. We're all over the place. You can shoot emails right from the website or neprowrestling@hotmail.com. You can send messages, ask questions, whatever it is you need to do. Everything goes right to my phone. I answer everybody right away. So
Nice.
I mean, that's the easiest way to contact us.
Okay. And now you have 2 rings. You have a beginner's ring and an advanced ring.
Yep.
Excellent. You got how many trainers? I know
Let's
you got
see.
a bunch of guys that come down and help too.
Well, so like there's me,
Yep.
there's Johnny Vegas,
Yes.
there's Scotty Slade, there's Julian Starr, there's Chase Lamonte, and there's Scott Guerin. So there's like 6 of
Nice.
us total. Yeah. I'm there Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday mornings.
Yep.
Johnny Vegas is there Tuesdays and Thursdays. Scotty's there on Tuesdays. Julian's there on Thursdays. Chase and Scott are there on Wednesdays.
Okay.
So yeah, you know, we 4 classes a week, 4 days a week. You know,
Nice. So Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
Yep.
Nice. Okay. And like I was talking earlier off air, like my buddy Brandon's down there training
Yep.
now. And how many guys you got down there right about now?
Boy, on a good night we'll have 20-something people there training, you know,
that's a lot.
between the 2 rings. Sometimes there'll be more if some older people show up to kind of get some ring rust off.
You mean like older guys like Kevin Quinn?
Quinn's there almost every
I know
class,
he
which
is.
is great. But I mean, like, Elia's been stopping down and getting some ring time, and Christian's been there. You know, some of the guys that are on the shows don't really necessarily have to be training every week anymore,
Right.
but come down to kind of get some ring time in, or to help out some of the younger people and stuff. You know, Brian Logan's been doing a lot of work there, helping out and stuff too. So it's awesome when those guys kind of come help out and give some of their knowledge and stuff
Right.
to the up-and-comers as well.
Excellent. So I'm trying to think who I want to bring up here out of all. I need to know more about the Bear Country.
Bear
Now,
Country. So
who did you bring in Beefcake first?
they kind of started a little bit before I took over.
Right. Okay, so
yep.
Jamie and them brought
Yeah,
him.
Beefcake. I remember Beefcake came in.
adult.
And he worked like he worked Malonis. I think in a singles match once a while ago. But they're from the Jersey area.
Yeah.
I think they're products of Wrestle Pro, Kurt Hawkins and
Pat Buck.
Yep. And so they've been awesome.
Right.
They really impressed me with how they carry themselves in the ring and how they are as athletes and wrestlers and stuff. So. I mean, they're a pretty dominant force. They're
a good team.
It was good to be able to kind of have them be the tag champs. Yeah.
Right. Now that helped. That helped. Those, are you working with those guys a little with the Wrestle Pro?
Yes and no. I mean, we for the Jersey show, we had a bunch of different ideas of how we wanted to do it and what we wanted to do, and then ended up having to just contact Pat originally.
Okay.
And it turns out that he was, kind of running the Rahway Rec Center for that week. We ended up, kind of working together with him and putting together a show, and it's kind of renting out our time there for that Saturday. Yeah.
Nice. Now, did you know Pat when he was down here
I
wrestling
did.
as Ruth Star?
Ruth Star, yes. Yep.
Pat, I'm sorry, but I was not a fan of Ruth Star when he was around here.
I mean, he was so early in his career.
Yeah.
It's so
I'm just
different.
busting
But yeah, no.
Kevin Matthews would probably love me saying that. That's why.
Lots of people would, I'm sure. No, I do remember Rue when he was there. Yeah.
Nice. Now, so right now you have a women's champion, Tasha Steeles.
Yep.
She's from New York.
Yep. Well, Jersey, out in that area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, was she trained at Wrestle Pro too?
She's from Damian Adams.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, who's
All right.
obviously had a great track record as far as training the females and
Right.
stuff.
Now, you brought in just recently, and I'm gonna butcher her name. She just wrestled her at Cold Fury.
Statlander.
What is it?
Statlander.
Yes, thank you very much. You bringing her back? Is she coming back?
She was just on the last show.
Okay, she
Yeah,
was.
They,
Yeah, I
they,
wasn't-
they,
I'm
they
sorry, I
wrestled in the
wasn't
rematch. There are plans for her to be around for a couple more shows too. Yeah.
Nice, awesome. And now, what about Alicia Edwards? Is she still?
She was just
you
on.
guys?
She was just on the New Jersey show.
God, see, I'm not doing my homework too
That's
well.
all
I'm
right.
sorry.
No, she was just on the New Jersey show with us. It's hard because, again, like I said, our roster is so many people, and we're
Right.
trying to whittle it down. I mean, there are some shows I'd love to have more than one women's match on.
Right.
It's just not necessarily feasible. Right. And so, will it always be a women's title match? Maybe, maybe not. We're kind of doing some things right now, and different things are kind of coming up. So yeah, we'll see.
Now, there's a stigma about chaotic fans. When someone comes into the air for the first time, fans don't usually take to them right away.
It's not that they don't take to them. It's our fans. They like characters, and they like to really digest who this person is or isn't before they really kind of give them love or disdain. Okay. And so when people kind of come in at first, they're a little quiet at first.
Right.
But it's not quiet out of dislike. I think they're just trying to really see what's up with this person.
Okay.
And I think that's the way it's always been, which is another reason why we don't necessarily just bring people in just for a show,
Right.
or like a big indie name to come in,
Yeah.
because a lot of them don't necessarily know who they are.
Right.
There are some,
Yeah.
but as a whole, the Chaotic Wrestling fans need to see somebody once or twice,
Right.
at least, before they really start to take into that person and really start reacting to them character-wise.
Right, because and how you just said that was perfectly, because a guy like me who loves independent wrestling, has loved it for years, I do know about guys that are wrestling. While my buddy Dan, who I love, Dan Bolia, who goes to all your shows, he doesn't know.
Right.
So like when we go to shows and I point out things to him, he's always, like, wow, are you serious? Right. And I tell him exactly what's up. But all right, so we got maybe 2 minutes left. Anything you wanna plug?
I mean, we've talked enough about Chaotic Wrestling and the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. We've plugged them both. I just want to say thank you, not only to you, but to all the wrestling fans that come and support Chaotic Wrestling and are really liking and buying into the new era, as we're calling it. As you saw at Cold Fury, the whole new setup, the amount of money we're putting into production to really change the look of the show and become as professional as possible. Us being able to put that into the show is 100% because of the amount of love that the fans kind of give to us and by showing up at the shows and everything. Like, it wouldn't be possible without them coming and showing up. And so I want to say thank you very much to all the fans that come and support Chaotic Wrestling. It means the world to me, and it means the world to the guys that are on the show. That's the biggest thing I want to say. It's just a big thank you to everybody that comes out to the shows.
Nice. You're welcome. But it's true, though. You have a great fan base. You really do. And just keep putting on a great product. You took over from a couple of great guys.
They're the
Jamie,
best.
an adult who you probably didn't know, but I've known Mark way before he even got into wrestling.
He's like the nicest guy
He
ever.
is. He's awesome.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I went to a show one day, and he's telling me he's the owner. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I hadn't seen him in years. We worked at Pizza Hut together. Back when I was having my older kids were just little back then. But Brian, thank you so much for coming on. Guys, we're going to cut a couple seconds earlier. But Brian, again, thank you very much. Guys, we're out. Peace. Such a good